Hello, everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to the season finale, race number 36 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Banquet 400 at Kansas Speedway. We're getting set for 40 laps of racing, the final 40 laps of the season. And I figured best to go ahead and kind of reminisce about Season 7. I'd consider Season 7 to be one of the best seasons we've had in Marvel Studios Cup Series history, considering the fact we went to many new different tracks. Some we will return to, some probably not so much. Biggest rookie class we have had in quite some time. We had 10 rookies, but yet next season's going to be even bigger as 11 rookies are coming up in Season 8. We had a very tense championship battle throughout the majority of the season involving several different drivers. In the beginning, it was between the first half of the season, the big three you could call them, were Jesse Turner, Jessica Sheldon, and Zachary Fitzwater. Then towards the second half of the season, it turned into Dylan Jacobs, Jay Jefferson, and Matt McIntyre as the point standings shook up drastically over the course of the second half of the season. But of course, as we all know, at the end of Lime Rock, Dylan Jacobs clinched the championship as he leads the points by 63 points going into today. So virtually it'd be impossible for Jay Jefferson to surpass Dylan Jacobs in the point standings. Even if Jay were to lead every single lap, win, and Dylan Jacobs managed to get bottom 5, it wouldn't be enough for him to get closer to the championship. But Jay Jefferson shouldn't have anything to be ashamed of. After all, 4 wins, record tying, but he could go for the record-breaking 5th win if he can prevail today, as he starts second next to Cole Baker, who is on the pole for today. But there is one other championship battle going on, and that's the Rookie of the Year championship, as it's pretty close between about 5 to 6 different drivers. So basically this race is determine who will be Rookie of the Year, as well as to see who can win one last race before the season ends. Let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Banquet 400 at Kansas.
Drivers, start your engines!
Completely forgot to mention that because Dylan Jacobs did clinch the championship at the end of Lime Rock this past week, he becomes the first driver in the history of NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series competition to be a 2-time champion. So he's won 2 of the last 3. The only one he missed out on was the previous season, which was won by Rob Evans. Another big storyline in this race is that this is the final race, at least for a long time, or maybe for good, for some of these drivers, including the Sanford brothers, Zach Rogers, Jake Rogers, Benjamin Miles, among several others in the field. But the rest of the top 10 in the lineup, Jordan Forbes, Melissa Alexander make up row 2, Ricky Carman and James Qualls are row 3, Zach Rogers, Seth Cole row 4, and row 5 is Joey Parkhill, Rafael LeDuc, pace car into pit road, and it's time for one last time in Season 7 to boogity 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 go racing. Jordan Forbes got to lead the first lap of the race as there was a bit of a cluster of cars with James Qualls, Jay Jefferson, and others that were running 4 wide, but have managed to settle it out to 3 wide. I thought for a moment that we was going to get our first caution to already get this race going, but regardless, Jordan Forbes leads the first 2 laps and going really fast, going into turn 1 at 204 miles per hour. And then in around corner exit does slow off the throttle just a little bit to go down to about 186. So there is slight off throttle time at this track, just not a whole lot at the start of a run. But eventually once tires start wearing out, they will be off the throttle quite a good bit. So it's kind of flat out, not quite at the start. It's mainly turns 1 and 2 where there's some off throttle time, to say the least. 3 and 4 with fresh tires, and depending on which line you're running, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But as tires start to wear, we'll see more off throttle time for a lot of drivers. Meanwhile, Rafael Leduc takes the race lead, and Leduc, I believe back in either Season 4 or Season 5, he won this exact race to keep his streak going at the time, and Leduc, desperation mode to just finally get a win this season and keep his streak of winning at least once every single season in Marvel Studios Cup Series competition, because if he doesn't, his streak will be over. But luckily for Rafael Leduc, he's going to be moving on to Average Joe Enterprises next season to drive, I forget which number he's supposed to move on to, but regardless, moving to a different team, maybe a change up in scenery, will give more confidence back to the veteran of 7 seasons in Rafael Leduc. Right now in second is Rafael Fireblade, so we got the Rafael connection, 1-2 right now. But it might get broken in half as Jordan Forbes is trying to come back up to the front to try and get the lead back. And whoa, nearly some contact between the 77 and the 52. And then behind this, Clint Spillman right now in 4th, but Zach Rogers trying to take the spot away. But with Rafael Leduc, he came into this race 36th in the point standings and fell a couple spots after a miscommunication with his crew at Lime Rock this past week. He had a shot at winning last week, but because it seemed like he was just a couple of laps short on fuel, he had to come into pit road. That, or there was a huge miscommunication between himself and his crew when it came to deciding if they were going to pit or not. And look who's coming up through the field in a rocket fire pace. Alyssa Drayson in the 90, and she is second in the Rookie of the Year standings, 4 points behind Jessie Turner, I believe, who's leading the rookie points. So she's just trying to make sure that a few rookies finish between her and Jessie Turner, and she will come through with Rookie of the Year honors. And there's a rumor out there that she might end up replacing a driver from Season 8 that may withdraw, possibly, and then take over that ride, but that remains to be seen. Regardless, Drayson leads at the line, but Jessica Shelton now trying to get to the lead. And Shelton is still searching for her first win of the season, as meanwhile Hannah Klein goes to the lead as the ladies are fighting it out for the race lead right now. 3 out of 5 women in this field that were going at it for the lead right now, and Hannah Klein currently has that top spot, but Shelton's about to get passed by Zach Rogers and a few others perhaps. Rafael Leduc trying to get back up to the lead. Right now trying to go by for 3rd. Wait a minute. Oh, we're under caution and damage for Caleb Kilburn, and Kyle Matthews' unfortunate season comes to an end in a crash and will not get a top 5 this season. He'll be the only one to have not scored a top 5 finish. James Qualls was involved in whatever this was, but the caution, and it looks like it was right here in 3 and 4, couple of cars with slight buckles on the front end, like Jonathan Zorlin and Joey Parkhill, or that could just be from something else, but everybody's in the pit road, so we're going to switch to the pit lane 1 camera to see who is going to come out of the pits first, and then we'll take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out here at Kansas. But it was Zach Rogers who led at the line and entered the pits first. So as I'm watching all of this, going to see what strategy drivers are going to go for. And it looks like 4 tires and fuel for some, not so much for others. And I didn't really pay attention to see who came out of the pits first, and it looks like it was Hannah Klein, then Clint Spillman, Alyssa Drayson, Jessica Sheldon, and Zach Rogers was the top 5 out of pit road. So, now that we know who's coming out of the pits with the lead, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Kansas. So here's a look at what happened. So Kyle Matthews is about to go down the track a little bit, and then Joshua Sekuli, I don't know if he got really tight or he was upset with Kyle Matthews for perhaps some previous contact, but they get together and it sends the 42 of Matthews sliding up towards the track and then up in front of Caleb Kilburn, and then they both go into the outside wall. Jesse Turner actually got a little piece of it, and then here's James Qualls getting hit from Caleb Kilburn, which sent him sideways up into his teammate Kyle Matthews, and that's how Qualls ended up getting the damage that he sustained. Jesse Turner did get a slight piece of that, but it doesn't look like the damage is going to affect him very much. But these 3, Matthews, Qualls, and Kilburn, were definitely the big victims out of all this. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Kansas. Well, after the first caution, we have 3 drivers out of the race and are guaranteed to be bottom 5 and will not be getting points. James Qualls, Kyle Matthews, and Caleb Kilburn, so tough ends to the season for those 3 drivers. The field as it looks now after pit stops under caution, Hannah Klein is your race leader, 2nd is Clint Spillman, 3rd Alyssa Drayson, 4th Jessica Sheldon, 5th Zach Rogers. 6th is Ryan Acosta, 7th Rafael Leduc, 8th Charles Sanford, 9th Dylan Young, 10th Chris Dollarton. 11th Jay Jefferson, 12th Cody Lamas, 13th Rafael Fireblade, 14th Joey Parkhill, 15th Cole Deaver, 16th Jonathan Zorlin, 17th James Shelley, 18th Jake Rogers, 19th Jordan Forbes, 20th is Benjamin Miles. Rest of the field is Zachary Fitzwater, Dylan Jacobs, Artur Castanha, DJ Curtis, Carson Gum, Rob Evans, Henry Sanford, Cole Baker, Johnny Gardner, Ricky Karaman, and then it's Julia Katrine, Joshua Sekuli, Michael Norman, Seth Cole, Jesse Turner, Matt McIntyre, and Melissa Alexander to conclude the field. 37 cars still on track, green flag is out, 25 laps to go here in the season finale. Oh man, 4 wide going into turn 1 for 3rd, it looked like. And Alyssa Drayson did the smart thing and just let them go, as things got really dicey right there at that restart. And Ryan Acosta going to go to the lead for now. And Ryan Acosta, it could be, I think it's either him or Jesse Turner who's leading the Rookie of the Year standings for the Rookie of the Year championship. And Ryan Acosta trying to go for his first career win in the Marvel Studios Cup Series, and he will be back next season in that same number 10 for Curtis McIntyre Racing, which will be a huge thing for the 10, and hopes for the huge thing for Acosta to kind of keep momentum that he's had this season, having a solid first season in this series, and hopes to keep it and going forward to try and get next season's championship. Meanwhile, Charles Sanford, who won the Daytona 500 and then won at Talladega recently, trying to end his career in Marvel Studios Cup competition, at least for the time being, on a high note and get another win or a good finish. But right now it's Rafael Fireblade in the race lead for now. And look who I see coming up through the field, the champion for Season 7, Dylan Jacobs. Remember, he clinched the championship after last week at Lime Rock, as he came into this race 63 points ahead of Jay Jefferson, who's actually right behind him in 5th. But no matter what would have happened, like I pointed out, even if Jay Jefferson were as able to lead the most laps, win the race, and Jacobs finish in the bottom 5, it wouldn't be enough to get the championship. And Dylan Jacobs going to try and go underneath Cody Lamas, and now he's up to the lead. And Jacobs looking to try and tie Jay Jefferson and a couple of other drivers for most wins in a single season at 4. But Jay Jefferson is a man on a mission. While he may not be able to go for the championship, he's looking to make history and be the first person in the history of Marvel Studios Cup Series competition to win 5 races in a single season. Right now, Jefferson kind of slipping back a little bit as Dylan Jacobs looking to just completely wipe the floor with everybody and just win this race outright to show why he is the champion for Season 8 and Season 7, excuse me. And also remember, he did win the championship back in Season 5, so he became, after clinching it at Lime Rock, the first person to win 2 championships in the history of this series. Right now, he has the lead, but James Shelley may have something to say about that. And this is actually his farewell season. In fact, at least for the time being, he will not return to Marvel Studios Cup competition. That, or he'll take a hiatus. I mean, as I've pointed out before, no one really truly no one ever truly retires from this series. More often than not, it's hiatuses that happen, and so on and so forth. But for Shelley, I'm not sure what the future holds for him. And going by for second is a driver who's definitely one to impress going into next season and trying to get his second win for Season 7, Cole Deaver. And Cole Deaver, this season, he was just a qualifying master. Has the best average starting position of anybody at a 15.6. And he was just really, really consistent at qualifying, better than any other driver. His race results didn't quite match such expectations, but an 18th place average finish, a win, currently 6th in the point standings coming into this race, so pretty good season all things considered for Cole Deaver. Meanwhile, Dylan Jacobs still leads, but right behind him was one of the drivers that was in the hunt for the championship last week, Matt McIntyre. And Matt McIntyre trying to get his 3rd win of the season, but right now getting passed by Seth Cole and Rob Evans. Remember, Rob Evans was the Season 6 champion, but has yet to go to victory lane, and he came close to winning last week at Lime Rock. However, pit stops screwed up his entire strategy, and it cost him another shot at getting a win. So Rob Evans trying his hardest to finally win a race in this series, and before he returns for Season 8 competition. Meanwhile, back up in the lead is Cody Lamas in the 48. Seth Cole stuck to the outside line as he's getting passed by Dylan Jacobs and Cole Deaver. Meanwhile, going by Seth Cole right now is the winner from Lime Rock last week, Jonathan Zorleen. Now, it'll be an interesting change for Jonathan Zorleen in Season 8. He's still going to remain with Curtis McIntyre Racing, but he's going to be switching numbers as the 41's going to be going to a different team in Season 8. Instead, Zorleen will move to the 00 car for Season 8 competition. So perhaps a change in numbers will help boost the confidence even further for Zorleen. And Zorleen managing to get that win at Lime Rock, moving into the top 20 in points, that would put every driver from Curtis McIntyre Racing top 20 in the point standings at season's end. Because coming into this race, Matt McIntyre was 3rd, Joshua Sekuli 5th, DJ Curtis 7th, Ryan Acosta 14th, and Jonathan Zorley 19th. Back up at the front is Cole Deaver, but Ryan Acosta trying to make a name for himself and trying to close the season out with a W for the first time ever. Julia Katrine in what is definitely her final season, as she will definitely not be returning in Season 8. She's looking to finish strong on a high note and get her 2nd win of the season. Seth Cole, who's still searching for his first win of Season 7, he's looking pretty good. Melissa Alexander in the 28 looking for her record-tying 4th win of the season. And as I pointed out earlier, Jade Jefferson still trying to get that 5th win to break the record. But time's starting to run out, as when we get to the line, it'll be 8 laps to go, and the battle for the lead's getting a little bit heated. Cole Deaver hanging on for now, but Cody Lamas with a run to the inside, and Lamas also searching for his first win of Season 7 as well. But look at Ryan Acosta dive it in bottom, 3 wide to try and get the lead for himself. What a daring move by that rookie. And he's looking, like I said, trying to get Rookie of the Year honors at the same time. A lot of different elements going on right now. Drivers trying to get a win, some trying to break records, some trying to tie records, and some trying to get their first wins ever, and some trying to get Rookie of the Year honors. While the Driver Championship is wrapped up, we still got a lot of other things going on right now to settle out. Oh, it looked like Seth Cole was maybe going to make the move on Cody Lamas, but just didn't quite keep the momentum going. And I think that might have been because tires are starting to wear down big time for these drivers. And I'm noticing that because lap times are starting to get slower and slower each passing lap for these people. Lamas leads for now, but now Seth Cole's coming back, and he's going to make a move to the bottom to try to get the lead for himself. But look at Rob Evans. He is definitely one that doesn't give up. He is still trying to get to the lead. But it's 5 laps to go. Time is running out for these drivers to do something. Rob Evans nearly gets tapped by Julia Katrine, but it actually helped him as he's going to go by Seth Cole for the lead. But does Rob Evans have a strong enough car to hold off everyone else? That's the big question. Can Rob Evans finally close the deal of winning a race? And just as I say that, here comes Julia Katrine with a run to the inside to take the lead for herself. James Shelley, who led a little bit earlier in the race, trying to get back up there. And there's Dylan Jacobs, followed by teammate Jake Rogers. Race is not over for everyone. Pretty much everybody still has a realistic chance. It's just a matter of working your way up through the field, making the right moves. But the top 6 have broken away from everyone else, at least for the time being, as it's less than 3 to go now. Julia Katrine right now hanging on to the top spot, but you got 5 people behind her looking to make a run for it. James Shelley, a little bit of a tap from Rob Evans, sending him sliding down to the bottom, but it might have worked out a little bit for Shelley as he's trying to get to the lead. Less than 2 to go, and Dylan Jacobs, the champion, he's still lurking right there. And he's going to try and make a move, but his teammate Jake Rogers decides, you know what, I'm going to go for it too. Oh, contact! Some contact right there, but Julia Katrine's loving it, and it's helping her to keep the lead as the white flag is displaying here at Kansas. 1 more lap for the 26 car. Jake Rogers, who's in second, he's lurking to maybe make something happen. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get to the lead, but he's going to try. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Coming off of turn 4 for the final time to end the season, Julia Katrine gets her 2nd win in the final race of her career. She wins the Banquet 400 at Kansas. what a race we just had to conclude Season 7. Julia Katrine, in her final race, gets her second career win, and gets it at Kansas. But man, what a way to end off such a good season here in Marvel Studios Cup Series competition. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the results. Jake Rogers, man, if he just had a couple more laps, he may have had a chance at getting to the lead. Melissa Alexander coming back after finishing bottom 5 at Lime Rock to end her season strong with a 3rd place finish. And then the champion, Dylan Jacobs, pretty much wrapped it all up as he finished 4th today. And I believe that would put him in double-digit top 5 finishes, I believe. Indeed, it actually will. That was his 10th top 5 finish of the season. And then Cole Deaver concludes his excellent season with a 5th place finish. Henry Sanford with a solid run in the 6th position. Matt McIntyre concluding his season strong with a 7th place finish. Anyways, James Shelley with a great run in the 8th spot. And then we had Rob Evans finishing in the 9th position. And I'm not sure what that 52 is. Oh, it was Raphael Fireblade. No kidding. Raphael Fireblade rounding out the top 10. Then there's your top 20, your top 30, and then the bottom 5 for this week, joining Qualls, Matthews, and Kilburn, were Joshua Sekuli and Benjamin Miles. So, tough break for those guys. But that concludes Season 7 as you're watching Julia Katrine do her victory burnout, and you're watching Dylan Jacobs do his championship celebration, and whoever became Rookie of the Year at the end. I'm not sure as to who won Rookie of the Year, but you'll see when they come out and do a victory burnout. But that does it for Season 7. We're going to be going on a couple of months hiatus to get things prepared for Season 8, which promises to be a promising season nonetheless. Congratulations to Julia Katrine for winning the race in her final race in her career. Congrats to Dylan Jacobs on being the first 2-time champion in Marvel Studios Cup Series competition, and congrats to the Rookie of the Year, whoever that may be. But until I see you again for Season 8, this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.